To our next session, which is Leadership Unbound, Roadmap 5.0. As we continue to explore the evolving landscape of leadership, it's time to look ahead. We now delve into the Leadership Unbound Roadmap 5.0, a forward-thinking framework designed to equip leaders with the mindset, with the tools and strategies to navigate complexity, drive innovation, and inspire teams in today's dynamic world. I'd like to now call upon the panel quickly, and as I mention your name, please do join us up on stage. As moderator, we have Dr. Vishal Shah, Vice President Leadership and OD at Indegene. Dr. Vishal Shah brings with him a judicious mix of corporate and academic backgrounds. A passion for people and people development is the common thread that runs through his career. Over a span of 22 years, he has worked in industries like IT services, fintech, and retail, and handled diverse roles in HR, sales, and consulting. Our speaker panel comprises Karthik Ramachandra, Partner Director of Engineering, Azure SQL, Microsoft India. Karthik leads the Azure SQL engineering team, driving cloud database innovation at scale. With a PhD from IIT Bombay, he has earned recognition for his research and builds inclusive, high-performance teams delivering global impact. Zainab Haidari, Strategy and Business Operations Program Lead and a philanthropy advocate. Zainab brings 15 years of experience in business operations, program management, and process transformation. She leads cross-functional teams across industries, translating vision into execution while driving operational excellence and measurable impact. Kuppu Lakshmi Krishnamurthy, Global Head, Zoho for Startups. Kuppu has more than 2 decades of experience, 15 at Zoho, connecting businesses with technology and fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. A certified emotional intelligence expert and speaker, she mentors startups and promotes strong teams, culture, and leadership. And Ashutosh Kumar, Head of Managed Services for APAC and EMEA, Agency Operations at S&P Global. He's a banking and finance leader with nearly 2 decades across the US, APAC, and EMEA. He drives operational transformation, builds multicultural teams, and champions mentoring, diversity, and social innovation globally. So it's over to you, Dr. Shah.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see a full hall here. And I think the session just before this set the right stage for this. So this is a conversation that I think does feel that it's urgent to have. Leadership is changing right in front of our eyes, whether it is because of AI, whether it is because of the multi-generation workforce that is there, whether the changing nature of geopolitics today, right? And so it does not feel like it is what it used to be. Today, titles do not matter so much. Whether the leader knows the right answer doesn't matter so much, right? In fact, probably what matters is that when things are changing so fast, leaders should provide clarity. Or when tech is coming so much, someone has to balance the empathy. And probably that's what leadership is all about, and hence it can come from anywhere, from any level, which is why the title of Leadership Unbound. It's about being unfettered and unbound, not being bound by rules, by hierarchy, etc. Right? So this is what really the panel discussion is all about. Before I start with the panel, just a quick question to the audience. And a show of hands will help. So how many of you feel overwhelmed by AI? Just hands up. Yeah. Many of us do that. Yeah. How many of us feel excited by AI? Okay. And so the next question is superfluous. How many feel both at the same time? Yeah, sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah, sure.
almost like an oxymoron.
Yeah, correct. Sure, thanks. And that's really then sets the stage for this, right? And my question is to all the panelists. So then, how is leadership really changing? What do you think? And you can start.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be back in Bangalore and enjoy the traffic. I was struggling today morning, but it's fabulous, right? And every time I come to Bangalore, this word really sticks with me. When I first landed, was the word Pushpa. Right? And I'll try and relate to what I really mean. Back in the days, leadership is all about Pushpa, I hate tears, Ray. Right? Fast forward, I don't know which year, but now if you look into the context, is all about Pushpa, flower, nahi fire hai. That's pretty much the story and the change that has happened. If I put it in our context, it's previously, when I started my career, it was all about, oh, I know all the answers, you have the invite. But today, it's not about that. Today, let's work together and find out the answers. And if I tell my team today that I have all the answers, they're going to ask me which model AI that I'm using right now. So to sum it up, really, the change is all about how do we expand the human boundaries rather than outsourcing to a artificial intelligence that we all talk about as AI. And because today's Pushpa is really fiery.
I like that simile. Thank you so much.
So I think, in my opinion, leadership is actually at a helm of renaissance now, right? I think there's so many things that are changing, right? From the way we operate, we deal with people, or even implement strategies, right? So if you, like for example, it's going from, hierarchical to networked systems. It's going from, being an expertise, having an expertise to actually being adaptable. From being local to actually going, global plus what we say is digital transformation. So in my opinion, if I have to just apply some math, right? For me, Unbound leadership will be C cube into A plus I square. Let me elaborate that for you. So C cube stands for curiosity, courage, clarity, on the bedrock of accountability, intention, and inspiration. I think that's what it means to me. Yeah, go ahead.
Wow, okay. So we're talking about Unbound leadership. I'll put some context in a few seconds. I'm 43 years old. I take care of the startup program at Zoho Corporation. And you can do the math if I'm a millennial or which age group I am in. In this context, I think Unbound leadership was a lot about bringing all knowledge to the room, setting the hierarchy of the flow of knowledge in the room, and it always was us, me, a leader versus who is in the room. Unbound leadership in this age has two sides to the same coin. One, Unbound sets you free. Like they all said, you don't have to know all the answers. You can have the courage to be vulnerable, and you can come into the room and we all can sit together, look at the problem that is in front of us, and bring brilliant solutions. Now, the other side of the same coin, of this power that has set you free, is responsibility. So when we talk about leadership, and that is Unbound, we don't know many a times how much is enough. How much work is enough? What is exactly good? What is exactly ethical? Am I biased consciously or unconsciously? So there's a lot of lines that get blurred, the same lines that set you free. So I think we have to take the angle of power and responsibility as we talk about Unbound leadership, and that gives immense potential every day, every moment, to bring our best self into any conversation, any room, or any hierarchical point. That's my perspective.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of great points there. Again, very happy to be here. As they introduced me, I'm from the engineering team from Azure SQL and Microsoft. So as a leader heading engineering teams focused in data, I'm in the midst of the AI wave, as we all are. So I can resonate very well with the points that the rest of the speakers and the earlier speaker as well made. that today's leadership is not about hierarchy, it's not about boundaries, it's not about empire building, it's not about how many people and whatnot. It's about having the learn it all mindset, or the growth mindset, where we are all, it's not about having the answers, but do you have the courage to go after the problem, have the courage to be nimble, the courage to accept that you may not know all the answers and be vulnerable. I think that striking this balance is what defines leadership in the present era for me.
Sure, thank you. A lot of clear thoughts and powerful thoughts from the panel. So given that what we discussed here, Karthik, what would you think for someone who's kind of moving into senior leadership, into executive, right? What would be important to look at? What would come in the way? What does one need to keep in mind, given all these changes that are happening? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, having been through that journey myself, I can relate to some of the experiences that I've had as part of this journey. One of the things that has always been something that I've found in great leaders is this ability to think at various levels of abstraction. In other words, to explain it a little more, as a leader, as you grow in your leadership journey, right? It's not just about knowing tactful decisions of, okay, what to do next, but it's also about having a long-term vision, creating clarity to the team about the vision that you have, and so on and so forth. So having this ability to think long-term, but at the same time also go sit with engineers, sit with people and learn with them and be grounded, right? So the ability to span these different levels of abstraction is something that we learn as we grow in the journey of leadership. The more you grow, the more is the expectation that you are able to span this spectrum, right? So that is one thing that definitely that I've seen. In fact, I had this wonderful leader when I was a fresh graduate, when I was a young engineer trying with wide eyes and all these everything looking exciting and so on. I was amazed by this leader whom I was working with, who had probably not written a lot of code in their life in the last maybe many years, but I was giving this presentation that, okay, this is what we did, and this is what we observed, and this is the experiments that we tried out, and some technology that we were playing with. And that person was able to find a bug in my implementation, right? He was able to, without having seen the code, right? So the ability to think deep while staying also in a visionary level is something that I really appreciate, and I try to emulate in my own career. The second thing which that comes to my mind is about culture. As leaders, we are responsible in some ways to set the tone or the culture of the team that we lead. And it's all about, as we grow in the leadership journey, ladder, or what have you, what is important is to continue to build the right culture in the team. That becomes more and more important. You may no longer be as much deeply involved in day-to-day operational stuff. There may be other leaders under you who are taking care of some of those things. But are you still able to infuse inspiration, infuse the growth mindset, and infuse the right ethics and that culture in the team? I think that starts to gain more importance, which I've seen some leaders struggle with, right? They still are very much focused on the deliverables or the goals and the OKRs and what have you, but they fail to recognize the importance of culture, which over time can undermine the whole promise. One other thing that I would like to end with as another challenge that I think a lot of leaders face is, I think we did touch upon this earlier as well, is in this era of AI, things are changing very fast. What worked, what used to be the strategy 1 month ago might have to change next month, right? So again, I have a very recent example in my own team where we had made grand plans that, oh, we will ship this feature, this product. Again, it was in the AI space where we had sort of made some assumptions that this is how things will look like in few months from down the line. and this is what we will launch, and this will be super, successful and so on. But guess what, right? Within a few weeks, there's something else came out in the market and something's disrupted, and okay, what we did for the last 3 months is no longer relevant. Now, that requires courage to acknowledge that and say, okay, we failed to ride that wave, or we missed the bus. Let us accept that we missed it. Let us embrace what's out there and build on top of it, right? Rather than trying to hold on to our egos or hold on to what decisions we made and trying to justify that what we did was right. So I think as leaders, if we can overcome such inhibitions and are able to pivot in a quick way, I think those are the things that, these are some of the challenges that I feel will take us up the ladder in terms of leadership.
And all the 3 instances were quite relevant. And in a time where, competition comes from anywhere, things are changing so fast, and usually you have to decentralize, right? Because otherwise things, now we are saying answers can come from anywhere. So then at that point of time, if the leader doesn't have answers, I think the main role becomes even more to enforce culture, right? The leader has to keep saying, this is who we are, this is what we'll do, this is what we are not, right? And that has not been, as important as it is now, right? So even more so. So I think that's well said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Any thoughts on how does one, kind of travel all the levels of abstractions? Because you spoke of big picture, but also ability to deep dive. And anyone else can kind of respond, but how does one do that?
I mean, I don't know if there is a magic recipe for this, but it's about having that growth mindset. That I'm also a learner. I am also in the journey. Just because I'm a leader, it's not that I have to know all the answers, right? So it is rooted in this awareness or acknowledgement that, technology is changing fast, and I need to learn like any other engineer or anybody else in my team, and I have that patience and perseverance, right? So as long as I think that is there, it should take us where we should be.
Sure. Anyone else? Any thoughts on this question? If you want to kind of.
I think for the young leaders, especially, and when I started my career, nobody really told me this, but it's important to keep investing in yourself. And what I really mean by when I say that is that investment could be just taking a break, just being mindful, just be thinking about, there's a problem of the future. Can it be solved by what solution that I did in the past? No. So that mindfulness is key to what Karthik said, right? Literally. As long as you're mindful about what you're doing, where you want to go, how you want to do it, the doors will open up. There will enough conferences like these which will help you, enough leaders in this room and outside to navigate through all clarities that you need. So I think that mindfulness is key.
Sure. And hence, I wanted to ask you the next question. Mindfulness, of course. Is there anything else that leaders need to navigate AI? And also, how does one balance AI with human empathy, right? So what do you think?
Very difficult question. And I would try and make it even more difficult as an answer. So bear with me. Today, AI does a lot of stuff for us. It kind of summarizes emails, takes notes, etc. Even tells me when to breathe, right? It's a different time altogether. And keep that Puspa thing lined here and keep that fiery element going. What you really need today is not doing a lot of stuff. A lot of heavy lifting has already been done by AI. But what leaders of this age should be doing a lot of heavy listening.
Heavy listening, not heavy lifting. Very nice.
Okay. Right? So let's start with that. Now, as in terms of your question around empathy and how do leaders navigate that, there are 2 or 3 things that I will really mention, not necessarily expand on all of it. It's no longer being about the most smartest person in the room. It's about making the room smarter or the smartest. That's one. And you can only do it by including something which we use a lot, is called inclusion velocity, not the innovation velocity. People will innovate. Your teams, yourself, your leads will throw money at to innovate, but the voices that you bring on the table and allow them to speak will only augment it. So that's one critical. The next stage leadership is all about clarity, not control. That determines lot big part of empathy. It's not about just saying, you know what, this is what we do, and this is what we will continue to do so in the next 5 years. It's just about, okay, let's gather together, let's learn. And if I do not know an answer, I'll probably have 1 or 2 YouTube videos, 4 or 5 cups of tea. If I smoke maybe a cigarette or few, and tomorrow I'll come with an answer. That's empathy for you. That's one side of it. The second side of it, when you are being asked to be an empathetic leader, for me, when you say, and especially in this modern age, a lot of people fear, oh, AI is going to take away a lot of jobs. And you as a leader say, you know, don't worry about it. It's not going to take away. That is not empathy. That is PR. Empathy is all about reskilling and saying, hang on a minute, we built this. Karthik and the team has built a fabulous co-pilot and whatnot. Let's bring it on, and let's evaluate where we really want to invest in you so that you can use that technology to augment what you do today.
Yeah.
That's empathy per se. And it's just permission to ask questions. It's just allowing people to be, you know, living in that ambiguity and saying, hang on a minute, we're all humans, we all fear, that's okay. That's fine. I think that's the empathy part of it. Moving on to another very critical element, I think a previous speaker also touched upon, is psychological safety. Previously, when I was being managed, or I was not a leader then, I was obviously one of the employees of a firm. There it was all about, you know, just do this.
Sorry?
Just do this. And if I say to my boss, oh, it was a bad idea, and if I'm still being invited to the next meeting, it's psychological safe place. All right. But now the tables are turned. It's all about saying, oh, this model does not work, or ChatGPT or XYZ or whatever that model that you're using does not give a right answer. Is it safe? We as a leaders got to make it safe, right? Because if your teams do not question the model, at some point in time, technology will hallucinate. That bad output will become a bad headline. And as long as you encourage your teams to feel fearless in questioning it, and actually celebrate somebody saying, you know what, algorithm is wrong, let's relook at it. I think that's the critical psychological safety measure in an AI world for me, is because see, if it is unsafe to voice, then it is definitely not safe to trust AI.
Sure.
And ultimately, it's more around augmentation. I think with a lot of these, a lot of hands went raised when I think you asked the question, and I feel overwhelmed. Yes, it's not overwhelmed; it's ambushed. A lot of time, technology or an AI implementation rollout is seen as, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
Is my leader trying to kind of ambush me into not seeing me in next annual dinner party of the firm, right? It's just not that. The key element here is to really complement and use that technology as an emotional radar, which will help you who is working at 11 o'clock in the night, who has not spoken in the last 5 meetings, or that person behind the shut camera, you know, what's wrong with her? The AI will tell you the data, but it's as a human, you will connect. And that's when I meant initially, heavy listening and acting upon is all about empathy, psychological safety, and then, of course, empowering. So I'll leave that with you, Thought. I would have bored enough, and I can see some people already walking in and out. But so it's not a conversation about human versus machine.
Yeah.
I think it's about making humans more human.
Yeah.
I think that's the key bit.
Sure. Thanks. Very pertinent thoughts, and you know, I would thank you for bringing this elephant in the room, right, which is about losing jobs. But the truth is that, you know, right from the days of steam engine, this fear has always been there that we'll lose jobs, and yet, you know, new jobs are created. And I think this is a very important thing to understand, that look, AI may do the heavy lifting, but opportunities will open up, right? And there will new things that'll happen, and we'll move to those things, right? So, and that's actually something to look forward to, right? Yeah. Any other thoughts on this question, anyone? No? Okay. So, given that, a lot of the things that you spoke about, that, reminds me of this term growth mindset, really, and we mentioned that, yeah. So, Zainab, for example, yeah, if I were to ask you, what does this term mean to you? How do you think this will play out in today's world?
Thank you, Vishal. And I think it's so important that we drew our discussion to growth mindset, right? So I think growth mindset, folks, is that it primarily means that, your intelligence and your capabilities, right? They can be developed over a period of time through persistence and learning, right? So it's not something that is like, standalone, carved out, and that's something that you cannot improve on, right? Having said that, right, I think growth mindset for me personally means LEAD. So folks, if I'm on the panel, you might get to hear all the math calculations and all the acronyms, because I think that's worked for me. So I think LEAD for me means L is learning, continuous learning, and learning not only from your successes, but your failures as well, right? And just having that focal point of curiosity and taking learning as a continuous path all throughout your life, right? That's L. And when I come to LE, E is nothing but embrace. I think embrace for me is embrace change, embrace ambiguity. It's so important, right? I mean, if you have to embrace discomfort, folks. I think gone are the times when you're comfortable with everything, right? Just let's make ourselves a bit uncomfortable and take the leap of faith, right? That's E for me. A is nothing but amplify, right? Amplify your leadership through processes, data, and tech. We are so much talking about AI, right? Actually why do you consider AI as a competition? For me personally, right, today it's AI. There could be another technological wave that comes, in the next decade. See AI as your enabler. I think that's something I would recommend. And also have people, processes, and technology as your key drivers. They're going to take you, believe me, if your focus is on people, processes, and technologies, you are bound to succeed, right? That's about amplify. And I think the last is D, nothing but demand. For me, right, I think you have to demand feedback, right? And feedback is not only from your peers, but take it from your customers as well, right? I think LEAD stands for this, and I think I would also want to draw your attention to some of the recent studies that have been done on growth mindset, right? I think the recent study by Forbes says, the execs basically say that a staggering 80%, and mind you, 80% of execs feel that if their employees imbibe the growth mindset, it actually leads to revenue augmentation. Isn't that fantastic, right? Something so simple, but it yields you great results. Also, growth mindset is tied to having a positive correlation with your innovation quotient, your psychological safety. So I think in totality, growth mindset is the backbone that we need to embrace, practice, and practice. Thanks, Vishal.
Sure, thank you so much. And I think the acronyms will help us to remember, right, what to focus on. But one question I have, and again, this is to the panel, and I think many of us struggle with, is this whole piece about learning, right? And when things are changing so fast, what do you learn? What do you focus on? How do you learn? I mean, any thoughts, any personal, yeah.
See, I've been listening to all of you, beautifully connecting the dots. vulnerability, changing times. Like she said, how do you lead, show yourself? You don't have to know all the answers. So we are very clear with what needs to happen. Sometimes we don't know how to do these things.
Yeah.
We need clear actionables. And to answer your question, most of the times we realize that we talk about growth mindset, open-mindedness, being vulnerable, but it is so difficult to put ourselves in situations where we are open-minded.
Yeah.
If you are sitting here today listening to us, open-mindedness is all about discomfort. You know, you gravitate towards those questions and answers that you've never heard before, and you're willing to hear. This is something that we don't teach in school. You always are put in a box in the name of discipline, in the name of obedience. You follow a line, there is a rule. And suddenly when you come out, even today in 2025, when you come out of college, suddenly you're let loose. Suddenly there are no rules. Suddenly you have to think out of the box and bring brilliant ideas that people have never heard before. Now, how even in 2025, with the arrival of AI and disruption, how do you understand a few things? One is putting yourself out there means in order to receive a lot of information that you're not comfortable with and you're not familiar with. Now, I learned empathy, for example, by going on stage on my best friend's wedding when I was pulled out on stage by my best friend's mom. I didn't realize, I thought it was very rude because I need to be in every photo, right? It's my best friend's wedding. I didn't realize that in the process of joy of celebrating my best friend's wedding, I had put on so much makeup and ornaments and well-dressed that I forgot that the spotlight had to be on her, not on me. People cannot have confusions on who the bride was on that day, and that definitely was not my intention. Sure. I learned that empathy is not just putting yourself in other people's shoes when things are difficult. It's not bordering on self-pity, saying, you know what, I can understand, I can imagine. No. Empathy comes even at the best of the times, even in a birthday party, you realize, you take a step back, the spotlight is on somebody else. Now draw comparison on this with leadership. You should be comfortable to say, hey, my cup is full. I have enough opportunities. Here is something I can give you when you're sprouting in your early years of leadership. Here is something I trust. And if you go wrong, I will be as your backbone, supporting you and not calling you out in front of everybody. I learned empathy this way. I learned how not to judge people by when I was traveling in a bus. I looked at this really unassuming old man in dhoti and shirt. I mistook him for a poor farmer, and we all made fun of this person. You know, I was very young and all that, and when we got off the bus, he spoke in such impeccable English, putting us all to shame, but he did it with so much kindness that I've never forget in my life to judge people by their appearance. Unless you I failed in my 12th grade math, the only person in the history of the school to have ever failed. And in that time of pain, I learned how not to treat people, how not to let them alone during bad times, and what courage it takes to be by that person without bringing them in the weight of, hey, I'm here by your side, you should be thankful for me, you should be grateful that I'm here when the world has let you alone. Only in times and circumstances where it gives you the most discomfort, probably your white blood cells are activated at that time, your immunity is working, is helping you, your amygdala, I wish this taught science in the way we could learn science now on how your brain, beyond this fight or flight responses, can become this best friend and guide you to say when you pick logic and when you think from your heart. So unless you're going to expose yourself to uncomfortable circumstances, we are only going to learn the very shallow definition of vulnerability, of empathy, of what this VUCA beyond this Bani world is teaching us. It's very important in this AI world, especially we talk about emotional intelligence or emotional quotient as leaders, because with every gift, there is a hidden curse that brings with it. That is visible only to leaders. Look, when we talk about unbound leadership, it breaks us open, right? All of us in the room can come up with ideas. But this could also result in, especially with Gen Z, especially with people who are just coming into workforce, whose definition of loyalty is very different from what I have seen of my grandfather. I've not seen any of my grandmoms or people who went to work, but I've seen my granddad come home, sit with a newspaper, summon everything to his place, right from his shaving kit to his hot coffee used to come to him. He was the kindest man, but patriarchy was always there, right? And loyalty for the workplace, 30 years to 50 years, they are in the same workplace right from the start till their retirement. For me as a millennial, that loyalty changed a bit. I demanded something from my workforce. My identity was beyond me being a mom, being me a wife, me being someone at workforce. It became multiple dimensions. And today when you look at Gen Z, work is just a very minute part of their identity. They want much more. With this mix, you put AI, you put generational gap leaders like me and Gen Z, it's going to look like circus if you don't do a few things right. You're all going to be shouting for something with no clarity, no actionable insights at the end of the day, and wondering where is that light at the end of the tunnel. So to do a few things right, number one, I think we all need the luxury of time. Sometimes the problems come in front of you at the most unexpected times and places. I've always been in my shower, or I've been cooking, or I've had a fight with my daughter when the most brilliant ideas come, and I run for my notebook to say, this is one idea I don't want to forget. Please have the luxury of time. 20 minutes when you hit your bed, when you brush your teeth, when you're done for the day, when you're sitting in your bed, 20 minutes have just for yourself. Allow thoughts to come and wash over you. This is the spiritual quotient of something that we had to talk about. Have the luxury of time. However busy you are, 20 minutes after you wake up if you're a morning person, or 20 minutes before you go to bed, have that, let the thought, you don't have to have any plan, any agenda. Whatever thought that washes through you, write it down. It shapes who you are. It helps you reflect on who you have been. Help you bring those humorous moments and say, did I write that terrible mail that day? And laugh at yourself and that's how self-love is formed over years. Number two, when you have the luxury of time, have the luxury of thoughts. Be shaped by those people who question your status quo and push you to become a better version of yourself, not at the cost of your peace. Sometimes, we mistake passion for always being in this on mode. I have to know this, I have to read this, I have to know this piece of news, I have to go on that vacation like she did. No. You come with a certain peace and enoughness with yourself where you're now able to pace. It's so easy to say, sitting here, write your own definition of success. But we all sit with our own definition of FOMOs every day. So if you carve yourself and you're very clear, because the dot connect backwards only. When you look back in life, you understand why certain situations happen to you and only to you. Now these set of stories give you brilliant TED-like platform. Every mic you hold, every room you go to, you will be so unique that people will not forget your stories. The last I would say is some things that we undermine every day. I'll start with one small favorite advertisement of mine, where we're talking about data and how to storyfy and how to build a brand. Because everywhere there is noise, there is a want to be seen, there is a want to be belonged, there is definitely a fear that we don't want to be left behind, right? But who is writing the story? Why are we talking about AI only in passive voice? I want to say I am defining the future in the role that I am playing, right? The last point. There was this advertisement where this little boy comes running to the kitchen to his mom saying, I came second in the running race. So the mom makes gulab jamun for him because he came second. The dad comes into the room and says, so how many people ran the race? He'll say 2. And he'll quickly take a gulab jamun and run away. So of the 2 people, he came second. Now imagine you're looking at data. You need to have been exposed to a lot of stories to understand how data points can become stories. So in this VUCA world, a Bani world, where unbound leadership can be a leader in the room is as many as people, where we achieve everything and nothing at the end of the day, you have to have people who bring a combination of wisdom and speed. You need to have that Those kind of people in the room who say, come what may, I will bring clarity. Come what may, I will not lose my composure. Come what may, I have this fierce positivity of this future. Like today, it may not have worked, but tomorrow can we look at with equal hope. Now, this is not false positivity. This is not being that person who you are not. That is why you have to hire the right kind of people. If you're not hiring for emotional intelligence, you will soon be seeing yourself in a room where people doubt your leadership, people stop listening to you, people think they are better than you and they look for opportunities outside. So you have to be a mentor that is like a flowing river, not like a stagnant lake, which is why learning every day is important. And like the speaker before us said, I don't know the answers. I don't know the answers yet. Yet is a very, very powerful word. So with all of this, take that 20 minutes every day. It compounds to becoming who you are. If you don't have a shape right now, it's totally fine. This 20 minutes of time is going to be your chisel. You're going to chisel yourself into a new shape every year, every moment. I tell my husband very jokingly, I think he's married to 60 women at one time. You know, in this period of 20 years of marriage, he would have seen 60 versions of me, and I'm very aware of how I have changed every 3 months based on how I throw myself to learning. So I wish you all the best, and use LinkedIn, social media without FOMO to show who you are. And Unbound and Anita Borg, Grace Hopper has great shoulders to stand on. I don't know if Shreya Krishnan is here. You have amazing examples all around you to follow authentic people and to have the courage to be disliked in this world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You also reminded me of Archimedes, who ran out shouting Eureka, Eureka, because he's having a bath and had ideas, right? But that also then links to the fact that there are some principles of leadership which are timeless, right? So providing clarity, for example, right? Caring for your people. These have been important 2,000 years ago. They will remain important. And somewhere I think we should remind ourselves and not get so worked up that, how do I catch up with everything that is, because some things are constant in leadership, yeah? I think we are almost out of time. Just one last thought from all of you. What would you like to a message to give to the audience?
Okay, if there is one thing that I'm taking away from all this discussion and all the introspection, is leadership is all about balance. It is about balancing emotional quotient and IQ. It is about embracing change while staying aware of what doesn't change, right? Being flexible, but again, holding strong to principles. So it's all a bunch of paradoxes. It's all a bunch of apparent contradictions that we need to reconcile. And that is the wonderful takeaway that I would love to continue to introspect.
Thank you.
Oh, we want to move? Okay, cool. Just be more human.
Just be more human. Yeah.
Just be more human. In the age of AI, where there's so much can be get done by a lot of different tools and technologies, it's important not to forget we're humans. And then that's what really defines you as a leader versus the Pushpa that I spoke about. Today's Pushpa is fiery, we all understand, has a fire, is not a flower, he or she, but that fire also needs oxygen. And the oxygen is about you being human. And that's what I say.
Thank you.
So folks, I think the last thought, I don't want to call it a last thought, but I just want to imbibe this in you. So in Urdu, there's a word called qanaat, all right, which actually translates to being satisfied, being content, and having gratitude, right? So for me, Leadership Unbound is, of course, the formula that I shared, C cubed into A plus I square, plus qanaat, plus. Just be simple and authentic. You will actually find your way. Thank you.
Last words.
I think my mantra that I would share is allow yourself. Allow yourself to get out of your way. Allow yourself to be scared. Allow yourself to feel enough. Allow yourself the joy of the moment. Allow yourself to not compare with others. Allow yourself to just be you.
Sure, thank you. And mine would be to remind ourselves continuously that we are standing on a field of opportunity. Yeah? And thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this panel discussion.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks, for actually being so patient and appreciate your time because I think time is money. I personally value time a lot, and I think on behalf of Vishal, Ashu, Karthik, Kuppu, and myself, gratitude that you have showed up and keep showing up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.